flying past me. Them is excuse, they slap me. Same people when I turn, they go yab me. Alright, tell me where then they run all they also how they try sustain. Every start today, from Jet down to Costain. I beg, no carry my blessing run. Today now you tomorrow fi be my turn. Show me love, not go show me python. We be the same for Oluwa Kingdom. So me say, celebrate me. Now when I day alive, appreciate me. Now when I day alive, don't be say when I live this life, you go to fake up for my wife. Celebrate me. Now when I day alive, appreciate me. Now when I day alive, don't be say when I live this life, you go to fake up for my back. Element for me, you be big name. If I OD, you be big name. Nobody shit, you be big name. My brother Young Don, you be big name. Oh, your man, I be the God, big name. First in Sagila, big name. Ejele One, you be big name. Obi Kubana, you be big name. Ato Eze, you be big name. Ben Peters, you be big name. Tom Polo, you be big name. Ochacho, Ebelebe, you be big name. Okonjo, Eweala, you be big name. Larry Gaga, one name, you be big name. Oluwa, make me a big name. Think I put all my enemies in big shame. So me say, celebrate me. Now when I day alive, appreciate me. Now when I day alive, don't be say when I live this life, you go to fake up for my wife. Celebrate me. Now when I day alive, appreciate me. Now when I day alive, don't be say when I live this life, you go to fake up for my wife. Give me, waiting I deserve. If I suppose to no put me for myself. No go wait till I buy. Before you give me meat pie, Kadenuga, you be big name. Lucky Gardens, you be big name. Kabiesi, Elegushi, you be big name. Obafemi Martins, you be big name. Dami Oloyo, you be big name. Ibrahim Mahama, you be big name. Sledge for Ghana, you be big name. Spoy Chukudi, you be big name. Chief Ikuku, you be big name. NASA Research, you be big name. Alfred Emile, you be big name. Charlie Apoka, you be big name. Big Lam, CP, big name. Imabaki, Billy Boom, you be.
Alright, so welcome everyone to our live section. It's today, Saturday, the 5th December 2021. So it's going to be a very interactive section. You are free to join, request for live video, and as you all know, today's topic we'll be discussing about why do drug addicts relapse. Myself being one of the subjects of matters, subject of the matters. So I'll be speaking from the perspective of a survivor, really. So like I said, it's interactive, ask questions. Of course, so many people could be very busy right now. They wouldn't join us, but I'm so sure they would join our recorded video. They would catch up. So I welcome you, Kelechi. I see you, Adidi Gray, MC Brown. Can see you in them. You're welcome. DJ Jasmine, you're welcome. DJ Jasmine, you said, please, can I get a record afterwards? Yeah, hopefully. There should be a record of this afterwards. It's just an hour. It's 5 p.m. already, so if you want to request for a video section, you want to join the conversation, you can make a request. Now, I want it to be as interactive as possible. Then Miss Tunero, I see you. Miss Tunero, I see you. Demi ASP, Demi Funds, I see you. Don Pedro, pharmacist Don Pedro, I see you. You are welcome. Now, I'll be repeating this point over and over again. So let me start. The major reason why people relapse or why addicts relapse is as a result of the rehabilitation center. Yes, I'm a pharmacist, and I'll tell you why. The major reason why drug addicts relapse is as a result of the rehabilitation centers. 99% of the rehabilitation centers. Going by my story, I used to abuse cocaines and cracks. And then, of course, cocaines and cracks would not make you sleep for like 2 weeks. You would not be able to eat, loss of appetite, loss of sleep, And then for me to be able to sleep, I have to go back to abuse sleeping pills. That's after taking cocaine and cracks. You know the matter now. Yes, you are listening. You know what I'm talking about. So I won't be able to sleep. Para mood will set in. Body will start scratching me, for the next eat and all. But for me to be able to sleep, I have to start abusing the drugs rehabilitation centers uses. And what are those drugs? The drugs are your Refnos, your benzodiazepines, your carbamazepines, your risperidones. Now, do you understand? I'll go over it again. The major reason why drug addicts relapse is as a result of the rehabilitation centers. Reason because when I used to be an addict, I would abuse cocaine, I would abuse cracks. Why? Because I want to stay up to work even more, to beat time. Now, after taking cocaine and cracks, I wouldn't be able to sleep for weeks. 1 week, 2 weeks, back-to-back burning of cocaine and cracks. I wouldn't be able to eat. I'd lose all my senses. My sense of touch should be lost. Literally, my sense of sight, because the only thing that would be registered in my brain is that tiny piece of cocaine, that tiny piece of crack, wherever it is hidden in the room. I'll lose my sense of smell. I'll start looking unkempt. And then I wouldn't care about my appearances. That's what cocaine and crack does to you. The only thing you think about is the next hit. You would never be organized. You'd never be coordinated. Now, for me to be able to sleep, because after about a week, 2 weeks without sleep, you would start to realize you've started losing it. Yes, you start losing it. And then for you to sleep, those same drugs that rehabilitation centers use are the same drugs addicts would then go and get, such as Refnos, benzodiazepines, of all classes of benzodiazepines, carbamazepines, risperidone, whatsoever drug that's in the rehabilitation centers right now. Now, I as an addict then would not consume enough of those drugs. Like I could be consuming 2,000 milligrams of Refnol a day. Pack the O cards, the O 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pills of Refnos, just pop it up, just for me to sleep. I started abusing those drugs in rehabilitation centers. Now, getting to rehabilitation center, because I passed through 2 rehabilitation centers and then there was some therapeutic failure, really. Getting to rehabilitation centers, those same drugs that I've abused, those same drugs that I've popped nothing less than 1,000 milligrams or 2,000 milligrams, were now the drugs that were being administered to me, because those are the only available drugs in rehabilitation centers. I am a pharmacist. Now, from the 1,000 milligram I used to abuse that my body is used to, and then I still would not sleep, they started giving me stuff like 20 milligram, as tiny as 20 milligram. Can you imagine? All the way from 1,000 milligrams my body system is used to. So they started giving me 20 milligram, which means they are curing me with drugs that I was used to abusing. So how do you expect me to be fine, please? And then when I try to charge at the nurses, at first, that's when I first come in, charge at the nurses and then act as if I'm not fine. The doctors will now tell me, young man, do you want to live here or not? If you don't behave yourself and if you don't respond to treatment, you'll be here for the next 6 months. Wow. I'll be here for the next 6 months in rehabilitation center. Like, this cut across every addict, because I've interviewed a lot of, people trying to struggle, people who are struggling, who are trying to come out of drug abuse. Now, that's what it will not be a negotiation between us and then the doctors and then pharmacists or psychiatrists in the rehabilitation center. So they will tell us, like, for you to leave this rehabilitation center, you have to behave yourself. And then lo and behold, addicts are very good with acting. They will start behaving themselves. So literally, going to rehabilitation centers as of today, just a showcase business, really. And that's what I told, the CEO, chairman, retired General Buba or Babu Marwa. Rehabilitation centers have really failed us. We need to start looking into the medications there. And then I've spoken with a lot of professors in my school, in Obafemi Awolowo University, and then steps. We've started taking steps. But literally, that's just the genesis. That's in a nutshell. That's the explanation. Rehabilitation centers, the medications there are what addicts take normally or in overdosed quantities. So you don't expect the medications in rehabilitation centers to help them. So by the time the doctors now say, if you don't behave, you wouldn't be released, we wouldn't have a choice but to behave. And as soon as we start acting like we are fine, after about a month, we'll be released back into the society. Now, what do you expect? Refno, Respiridone, all of those, they are out there, right in our nose. So the next thing we have to do is to relapse. So that's actually the major reason why people relapse. So, like I said, it will be interactive. So I expect questions, and I expect you to request live section. So let's make this as interactive as possible. But that's the most important. So any questions? Let me see. Modeling, okay. By Staminat, wonderful. Yeah, thank you. That's the reason why most people relapse. Then also, aside from rehabilitation centers, let's just take a break. Let's just take about. Okay. So that's point number 1. Rehabilitation centers have failed us. Yeah, they're really failing us. They're really failing us. Then point number 2 is the second reason for relapse. It's, our friends. Drug addicts, before they go into rehabilitation centers, they do have friends. Yeah. And then a drug addict's friend or is also an addict, So it's very difficult if an addict gets into rehabilitation center, comes out of rehabilitation centers and reconnects with their friends. That's another major reason for relapse. Yes. For example, what actually helps me, because, it's about my life story, how I came out of drug abuse, how you could become sane, how you could finish up with your academics, how you could bring up zero tolerance for drug abuse. The second major point why people relapse is as a result of their friends. Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. an addict's friend is also an addict. I'm talking about addicts, really, now. So by the time you probably get hold of your brothers, your sisters, your family and friends, you get them into rehabilitation center. By the time they are out of the rehabilitation center, and note, I told you rehabilitation center is point one. By the time they are out of rehabilitation centers, please, with whom will they reconnect to? They will reconnect with their friends, of course. And of course, their friends are still abusing drugs. For me to become who I am today, I had to eliminate all of my friends then. I had to go back to school to make new friends in the School of Pharmacy of Obafemi Awolowo University. And that is a very, very difficult step to take. Imagine you, all your contacts wiped off. Why? Because they are all addicts. And then you want to start a new life. All right, so mine, maybe okay. Hey, Mama.
Hello.
Hey, Mama.
Longest time.
Yes, longest time.
Hmm?
It's been
How
a
are you?
while. I'm fine. I'm
More than a while.
yes, yes, yes.
It's been long. It's been
So
long.
welcome,
Ah,
Mrs. Biola.
thank you. I just want to chip in, or should I still wait while you finish, or can
No,
I
of
talk
course.
now?
No, I certainly found to introduce you. Well, this is Mrs. Biola, all the way
Ah,
from South Africa. She was right in the very beginning of zero tolerance for drug abuse, right before the name zero tolerance came out. So we were the very forefront, thinking, brainstorming how this organization will be put into play and how we would help our society. So Ms. Biola can take it over from there, man.
okay, thank you. With my experience, dealing with substance abusers. Hello,
Hello,
sorry.
I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. In as much as rehabilitation has helped to an extent, but we find out that the major problem we have with them going back, relapsing, as you have said, is friends. But what we have come to realize is the society, they after coming out of rehab, they go back into the same environment, into the same community, like you said, dealing with the same people. So I think after going into rehab, the best thing a family can do is to pull the person out of the community where the person was before rehab. Because we've seen cases of people relapsing, going for rehab, in and out, in and out, in and out. And they come out, they still go back to that same society. Like you said, they mingle with the same set of friends. And you see them relapsing, going back again. So I just want to chip in that if you have anybody going for rehab, you should be ready that as soon as the person comes out of rehab, take that person out of the known society, out of the known friends. Then that will really help a lot.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Biola. Well, I did my research on coming out of drug addiction because so many people know. Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me, Miss Biola?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. So, about relapse, really, the major point is, the rehabilitation centers, taking Nigeria as a point of discussion, and of course, it goes across everywhere. I just explained, I took my time. This was my research, like this was my project research, and then that was supervised by professors, and then external examiners came from University of Ibadan, came from Unilag to look into what I did, really. So the major problem right now that we have is that rehabilitation centers makes use of the drugs that addicts abuse to manage them in lower doses. That's the major problem right now, throughout all the rehabilitation centers. The drugs they use are these drugs I'm mentioning right now: Refnol, all classes of benzodiazepines, carbamazepines, risperidones, whatever drugs you have, those are the drugs. These drugs are the the opposite of cocaine. What cocaine does, these drugs does the opposite. The psychotic drugs or the antipsychotic drugs, whatever. The reasons for, okay, yeah, I need to pin this. Yeah, so we're actually like talking about reasons for relapse after drug addicts have been discharged from the rehabilitation center. You can make a request. Anyone can join. Just make a request. It's an interactive section. But the major problem right now, problem number one, is that when addicts are being taken to rehabilitation centers, they are being managed by drugs in lower doses. These same drugs are what addicts take every day. These same drugs were drugs I used to take every day of my life. Every day of my life. Then getting there, they giving me these drugs in lower concentration would never help me out. And then that's the reason why it's very difficult to find a survivor of any form of drug addiction out. That's it. That's the major point. Falade, flying officer Falade Fisher, I see you. Well done, bro. Thank you. Then underscoring them said, what are the symptoms of relapse and how can it be prevented or treated? Well, the symptoms of relapse is very simple to know. What is relapse really? Relapse is going back to drugs you used to abuse. That is relapse. Like, the main reason why people go to rehabilitation center is for them to be, kept in a place, kept away from drugs, supposedly. That's the main reason. That's the main essence of rehabilitation centers. Take these addicts to rehabilitation centers to keep them away from drugs. But right now, I'm telling you guys that the drugs in the rehabilitation centers are also those drugs that are being abused. So rehabilitation centers are not doing what they should do as a result of the therapeutic failure of the drugs. That's what I'm trying to say right now. So how can it be prevented or treated? Fine. How can relapse be prevented or treated? My simple advice: do not do orthodox medicine. Yeah. When you have someone in problem, do not cure drugs by using drugs, because all drugs are poison themselves. Cocaine is a poison, very, very big poison. So, and every other drugs in the rehabilitation centers, it's a poison. The main reason why I'm saying all of this in a nutshell is that enough of orthodox medicine in rehabilitation centers. Rehabilitation centers in Nigeria should adopt traditional medicine. Simple. That's just what I'm trying to say. So enough of the benzodiazepines, because you are giving them in lower doses. They will never come out of it, because you are still pumping drugs into their systems. So the answer to that question, how can it be prevented or treated? How can relapse be prevented or treated is by the use of traditional medicine. And of course, there's a solution already, the root herbs. So it's necessarily, I don't want people to see this as me being strategic, marketing my root herb. You can go anywhere across Nigeria, but make sure you make use of traditional medicine, not rehabilitation centers, because there's going to be a rebirth of rehabilitation centers. We are working on it. I've been talking with professors of pharmacy. So there will be a rebirth of rehabilitation centers. But so far, so good. Of what good will it be when you treat people with drugs that they are used to abusing? So that is it. Okay, let me go live with Modeline. Barrister Aminat can come in. Hey, hello.
Mr. Chairman.
Hello, Barrister Aminat. Barrister Falade Modeline Aminat. How are you today?
I'm doing fine.
How's been work?
Fine, thank you.
So,
Congratulations.
oh, thank you. After 11 years, I
Wow.
finally uploaded the very big load, because really it's not easy being a student for 11 good years. I was a student.
Sincerely, you made us very proud, despite
When I was in
everything you
part
went through.
one, when I was in part one, I'm so sure those that graduated this year with me were in GS2 then. When I was in part one, they were in GS2.
Was it
So
GS2?
yeah, I mean they should be in GS2, 10 years ago now. So
Okay.
or
Oh,
11
that's
years
good.
ago. So I've been repeating every class, and it's as a result of this same topic, drug abuse. So Barrister Aminat, what do you have to say about the reasons why people relapse? What's your own quote?
Actually, to start with, I'm actually going to thank you for this wonderful session.
All
It's
right, thank
amazing.
you. All right, so I'm not sure if it's my network or Barrister Aminat's network. So I need you guys to join. It's 25 minutes already into the program, and then of course, uh, Barrister Aminat, you should request for another video. I need you guys to join. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. We are cleansing our society. That's what we are doing right now. So I need your points. I need your views so I can go back to the professors of pharmacy, and then we'll take it from there. All right. In you asked the question, traditional medicine, do you mean herbal concussion? How effective is it, and has it been used on a drug abuser before? Nice question, Inem. So I want to assume, Inem, you just joined our page, Zero Tolerance for Drug Abuse. Well, yes, it is traditional medicine, just like your Dongoraro, your every other traditional medicine, your beetroot and all. And yes, how effective is it? The traditional medicine is 100% effective. 100% effective. And has it been used on a drug abuser before? Yes. And has it been used on a drug abuser before? Yes. And who is this drug abuser? I, myself. It's actually my success story. How I got out of it. In I passed through 2 rehabilitation centers and I relapsed. Not until I had to pass through traditional settings. And then the reason why I didn't relapse anymore was because I did not make use of orthodox medicine. That just it. So it's actually my story what helped me to come out of it. You could take your time to go through my Instagram page and you'll see my throwbacks. My throwbacks were very, 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 very disgusting. You know, me having dreadlocks, me abusing all sorts of drugs, me like to the point in which I stabbed myself, fighting with police people, you know, constituting nuisance, and all of those. So Barrister Aminat is back. So I need you guys to come online. Let's chat. So that was actually the second point. Yes. So aside from the fact that rehabilitation centers is a major reason why people relapse, friends is a reason why people relapse. The third point that make people relapse, the third major point is the places you go to. You know, I've been very watchful of the places I go to when after leaving rehabilitation centers. You don't expect me to go to the clubs. What for? What am I doing in clubs? It's only trigger once you are an addict and then you finally come out of it. Going to clubs is the last place you should go to. Honestly, I'm being honest with you right now. Going to the clubs, night clubs. One, because you just came out of rehabilitation center, no matter how many years ago, you need quietness. You need a serene environment. You don't need loud music to start with that would disorganize your brain, that would disorganize your thinking level. Because drugs that you've been abusing add a lot of effects on your brain cells, on your hormonal system, on just anything about the brain. So you don't need loud noise. Wherever there are loud noises, you shouldn't go there because that's a big trigger. Mental stress, you know, anything that will stress your mental health should be avoided. So the places you visit, you know, most especially going clubbing, aside from the fact that you can easily relapse through the drinks, through alcohols could easily be poisoned. You know, I told you all drugs are poison. Cocaines are poison, molly are poison. They could easily be poisoned. You wouldn't know. You know, taking Azul, taking all sorts, Dorime, this, that. They wouldn't help at all, even if you are not the one spending. So the places you visit really has a very long way to go in your health. So aside from rehabilitation centers, aside from you going back to your former friends, the places you visit are very, 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 very important, utmost important. So yes, really, because one thing you should agree with me is that coming out of drug addiction is the hardest thing on earth. It's a disease, yeah, but it's the greatest of all forms of disease. A disease greater than cancer, like I would always say. I hope you all know that drug addiction is the only disease that cannot be cured in churches. Drug addiction cannot be cured in mosques. Drug addiction cannot be cured in shrine. Yet, every drug addict was once a victim. Because I wouldn't imagine anyone in his right senses having been told, hey, you will sell all your properties. If you have a car, you will sell it. If you have a phone, you will sell it. And also, you would roll in gutters, like in muddy waters. People will slap you. People will beat you once you take this smoke. I'm not sure anyone in his right state of mind would want to accept that smoke. He would run. But no, that's not how it works. How do they become victim? Oh yeah, you go visit your best friend, most especially your best friend. And then your best friend will make you understand that for you to work with me, for you to know what's latest, you have to smoke this. Loud is good for the health. This, that. This is European shisha. The European shisha, that's crack. Oh. But they say this is European shisha. This one they take abroad. You should take this. They will convince you just to have that single bite. And once you have that single puff or single bite, believe me, your life will no longer remain the same. So, reasons for relapse. Number one, rehabilitation centers are the major reason why drug addicts relapse after being discharged. Number two, the friends, the people around them, their friends. And then number three, the places that they visit. Well, that's that for that. I guess since there are no questions and since there are no live requests, I guess we would have to put an end to this section, and then we'll continue from here some other time. But meanwhile, I've got some interesting books here for you to read. This is Dead Man Walking by Yinka Olugbodi. Yeah, I recommend this book for you. You should read this. And then this is another book, Contradictions, A Lesson from the School of Life by Sumi Uranta. I also recommend you read this book. So we have come to the end of the live section. Ladies and gentlemen, I remain pharmacist Ekanuba Humphrey Julius, survivor of every form of drug abuse, CEO, Zero Tolerance for Drug Abuse Foundation. Until then, until we see again, I want to wish you guys a wonderful week ahead and a prosperous one, of course. And then join hands. Join me. Let's cleanse the society. Thank you very much to Inem. Thank you. Join me. Let's cleanse the society, because the better for one, the better for us all. I don't want you sitting back, laid back, saying, "Oh, you are not an addict. What's your problem about it? It's none of your concern." It is, because if you are not an addict, what about your unborn children? If you are not an addict, what about your children? Your children are out there facing the world. And mind you, once your children are addicted or are victims, you are also a victim as a parent. What about your friends? What about your brothers? What about your sisters? What about your cousins? So, of course, it's a major battle for all of us to fight. Mrs. Lillian, I see you. Although you came late, but then we actually talked about the reasons why people relapsed. Let me just summarize. Miss Lillian, we talked about why people relapse, why addicts relapse, and then the very first thing we talked about was the rehabilitation centers, really, because rehabilitation centers treat addicts with the drugs addicts abuse. And I use myself as an example, like when I used to take cocaine and cracks, so I wouldn't sleep and stay awake for weeks, and then I wouldn't, and as a result, I wouldn't be able to eat, I wouldn't be able to sleep. Then I would start abusing the drugs that are being used in rehabilitation centers. Drugs like Refnos, benzodiazepines, carbamazepines, risperidone. All their drugs. I'll start taking 1,000 milligram, 2,000 milligram, the full sachet of Refnol. I'll take it. Check my Instagram videos. You'll see them, my throwbacks. So now getting to rehabs, that 1,000 milligram I used to abuse, they start giving me 20 milligram, which means drugs are still in my system. These same drugs I abuse, they still give me. And by the time I argue with them that these drugs are not working, that your rehabilitation center is failing, they'll tell me, shut up. If you don't shut up, if you don't keep quiet, if you don't cooperate, you'll be here for 6 months, you'll be here for 1 year. And then I have no choice but to comply with them and cooperate. And then I would leave. And as soon as I'm going back to the society, I'm relapsing. Then point number 2 are the people around us. As an addict, the friends we have are also addicts. So as soon as we live a drug addicted lifestyle, go to rehab and come back, our friends are waiting for us to give to us these same drugs. And then point number 3 I made mention of are the places we visit. Like going to clubs at night after rehabilitation centers. You don't need such loud noise and all of those. So thank you very much. I believe we've done justice for today's episode. We would continue from next week. Once again, I'm pharmacist Kanaba Onfrey, survivor of every form of drug abuse, also some marijuana, pills, cocaine, cracks, and CEO, Chairman, Zero Tolerance for Drug Abuse Foundation. Thank you all.